Hi folks, my name is GregWright and I'm a recently retired home builder in the Boise, Idaho area. I'm developing a series of videos called Build Your Home Right to help you navigate the pathway and avoid the pitfalls of building your own home. With the real estate market as it's been lately nationwide, with inventory low, trying to find the perfect home for yourself is a difficult thing. So at this point, it may be a good idea to build your own home. So the series of videos that we're doing will take you through the financing, the development of the plans, the finding the perfect lot or piece of land, how to find subs, how to find a contractor, if that's what you choose to do, and also following through with the construction schedule, etc. So I think you'll really enjoy our series. So if you find that you like that, please hit the subscribe button and we'll get into it. But first of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about myself so you know where I'm coming from. I have been married for 45 years. My wife and I are currently living in our 7th home that we built together. I'll go into that in a second as to how that all transpired. But during that period of time, I've also been a superintendent and for a builder in the Sacramento area, and that eventually evolved into being a division manager for that same builder. He started out as a production builder and ended up opening a custom division where we did a real high-end golf course with homes ranging from $1.5 to $4 million. And I ended up being in charge of that whole operation. I've been a general contractor in the state of California for over 20 years. I was a licensed real estate broker in the state of California for over 20 years. And I've been a licensed contractor in the state of Idaho for the last 10 years. So building your own home takes some fortitude, to say the least. So when we first started, my wife was 20 and I was 22 when we built our first home. When we did that home, we actually had a contractor enclose it, do the drywall, cabinets, plumbing, etc. And then we just came in and did some finished stuff to complete the house. Back then there was paneling. I built the fireplace, installed the fireplace, things of that nature that I could do. And then it was quite a few years later that we ended up, actually I think 6 years later, that we ended up moving and purchased a lot. And that's where we got into building our own home pretty much by ourselves. And that is 10 to 11 month process if you do it all yourself. But there's different ways you can have your home built. You can either do it the way we did, where I did most of the work, or you could hire a contractor who hires his subs to do the work. You could buy a home in a subdivision that you basically only get to pick your colors or a few appliances or things of that nature. And you could call all of those building your own home. But we're talking mainly about doing most of the work yourself. So it's a bit of a challenge, but if you have the right mental attitude and you're prepared to do that, it's a great way to save money on the building of a house. In today's current market, general contractors are making anywhere from 20 to 35% on a home. And the subcontractors are all included in that, and they're making their profit on their work as well. So as a general, I would sub out the plumber. Plumber charges me X amount of dollars to do his work. He's making his profit in that, and then I put that dollar amount into my spreadsheet, and then I add my markup on top of that. So you can see, if you're willing to do some of the work yourself, you can save quite a bit of money by building your own home. So, or if you decide just to be your own general contractor, you can save that 25 to 35%, depending on where you're at in the country, on the process of building your house as well. Now, if you go the third route that we talked about, which we won't speak about too much in this series, just because when you go into a production home site, they're pretty much going to build 3 or 4 or 5 plans, and you're going to pick one of those, and you're going to make a few modifications, and then you'll be able to pick a few colors, your tile, your carpet, things of that nature. And you don't really have a lot of control over the process, the timeline, any of that. So just be aware that we're not going to spend too much time on that. My series is more devoted to if you're going to have a general contractor do it, or if you're going to do it yourself. So anyway, with my experience, the first house we did, we only did a little work on it, not very much. I was 22 years old, my wife was 20, like I said. And then on a second one, that's when we really dug into it. And I did things like, and it was a sloped lot, I formed the foundation by myself, hired a few friends or had a few friends come help me pour the footings, and then started framing it by myself. Bring my brothers in for a couple of days and they would help me frame the main body, and then they'd go back home because we didn't live close. And then I would frame 10-foot sections or whatever I could lift by myself and frame the house from that point forward. Then I'd bring in a couple of people to help me roll the trusses, and then from then on I would sheet the roof, do the roofing, etc. But the only thing I didn't do on actually 4 houses in a row, about the only thing that I didn't do was cabinetry and drywall. Pretty much everything. I taught myself how to plumb. My dad taught me how to wire. I did my own septic systems when we got out on some acreage parcels. So those are the type of things that you can do that can save you a lot of money in the process. But it's also a very interesting time if you have a partner or if you're married. You really need to think about whether and have discussions about this process if you're going to go ahead and build it as a team to build your own home. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of evenings. It's a lot of weekends spent doing the work if you're going to do all the work yourself. And I'd suggest that you have the skills to do most of that before you undertake a project like this. As for me, I was willing to learn a few skills in the process. I had people like my dad, and hopefully might have some family members that are in the trades, and they can help you do some of the MEP, mechanical, electric, plumbing. We call those the MEP subs, that if they know how to do those trades, then they can teach you along the way. Then if you've done the first house or so, then pretty soon you're pretty good at it and you can keep on going. Everything is going to get inspected anyway, but you're going to have failures in there. When I learned to plumb, I had leaks. I had to fix them. I had to learn how to fix a leak, and eventually I got where California, we used copper pipe and everything was soldered. Idaho, everything's a plastic pipe with a crimp on it. So it's a whole different way. Different places in the States, all around the country, do things differently. So the best building practices of California or Idaho may not be the same as it is in Minnesota or South Carolina or whatever. So you have to be aware of what the process is to do certain trades in different areas. But I want you to really think about and have discussion with your spouse to see whether you want to take on an undertaking like this. And if you do, you have to know that it's going to be a commitment. There's times when you get in the middle of it where you're tired, you go, oh, why did I start this? But me personally, I was kind of driven to get it done. So I made a rule when I did them that I didn't move in until they were 100% done. Because we've probably all seen friends that have tried to build houses by themselves, and you go to their home and there's no trim no baseboard on the floor, missing cabinet doors, etc., where they've tried to do things themselves, and then they finally just moved in, and they thought, well, I'll move in and then I'll finish these projects up as I get, later on as I'm living in the house, I can do these projects. That doesn't always work. You get tired, you have another job usually, and so you don't end up getting those things done that you should be done before you move in. So that was my rule. I just didn't move in until they were done. I've seen people that have taken 3, 4, 5 years to get their houses built. That's just not the way I wanted to do it. Now, in that process, I've lived in travel trailers. And as our kids got a little older, I put old mobile homes on the property. I had acreage on a couple of them. So I was able to move an old mobile home on there that we lived in while I built the house. Other times you had to rent while you built. So the finances that are involved with all of those all take some consideration, obviously. And like I said, the biggest thing is to be mentally prepared before you start something like that, to whether it's something you really want to undertake. And your spouse or your partner has to be involved in that as well, because my wife was awesome at this, and we kind of had an agreement. This is what we were going to do, and she supported me and she helped me as best she can if I need an extra set of hands, and it turned out well, and we did well. We made a lot of money. Now, that's the other side of this, is the money. If you're going to do your own home, you can either hire a contractor and he will pay the subs, and you can just pay him his lump sum fee, or however you work it out. You could do a time and material contract, you could do a lump sum bid, and he can build your house for you, and you still have control over the design of the house. You buy your own property, and then you just hire somebody to come in and actually build the house for you. So that is a term of building your own home. That's not exactly what I'm looking at. There's also the fact where contractor will do some of it and then you come in and finish it. That's also a little more difficult because a lot of contractors don't want to be in partnership with a homeowner. They prefer to be just pay me to get my job done, and when the house is done, then you take it over. So if you can afford to do it, then doing it yourself is where you have complete control over everything. You're not paying the subs markup because you're doing the work itself, and then you're not paying the builder's markup on top of that. So there's a possibility you could save anywhere from 30 to 50% on the cost of building your house. So we'll go over all those things as we get into the next set of videos, but this first video is video one here, was just to try to help you understand what you're getting into when you start one of these things. And once you get going on it, if you follow some of the guidelines that I'm going to lay out for you, I think you'll find that it's going to be a pretty fun process if you have the skills and the mindset to do it. So the worst thing you want to do is get halfway through it and go, well, what am I doing? Because that's not going to be a good thing. So please just try to make sure that you're geared up for that, and then we'll move forward. So if you like what the series is about, please hit the subscribe button, and we'll be back soon with our video number 2, which we're going to be covering financing. So we'll see you soon. Bye.